up, what up? Welcome back. This is Reflection Comics presents Comic Talk. The main man Cody and I'm Rico, and we're going to talk about the Fantastic Four review of the trailer and all the excitement that's going to bring to the month of July, and all you comic book fans that are going to either flip out or, you know, break down or poke fingers or go, that's not how it happened. And we're just going to, you know, try to invite all that in today. And the trailer, when I first saw the trailer, I was kind of like,
To make
I'm not feeling it. You know?
To make a distinction really quick, we're talking about the second trailer, but the one that you're talking about is the first.
The first trailer.
Right.
I was kind of like, I'm not feeling it. It just, to me, it was like, well, why are they isolating the Fantastic Four into this timeline, or into the 60s, where there are no more superheroes around? There are no, obviously, yes, Fantastic Four is our Marvel first family, but that does not mean other heroes did not exist at the same time. And this movie kind of shows that nothing like that exists. It's just them. Like, they're the only super team on the whole planet. Well, the second trailer, still, yes, they are the only super team on the whole planet, but we get to see Galactus. The last time we saw Galactus on the big screen, he was just a ball of trash, and at least this time around, we got a back of a head and a foot. So at least he has a body nowadays. And there's some things about the Fantastic Four that I was like, oh, I'm going to nitpick on that. Like Herbie. Herbie should not exist in the Fantastic Four. Not until they go to space and the Nova Corps actually gives them this. And they already have it. I hope this version of Herbie gets destroyed. And then when the planet dies, they go to the 616 or the MCU timeline, and then Nova Corps gives them a real Herbie. At least that's what I hope that happens. And I already kind of predicted the movie, but
the Nova Corps is dead.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Is that the Nova Corps
is dead, and Tony Hawk.
Tony
Stark doesn't exist either. So maybe that Herbie's just what we're gonna get.
Tony Hawk should be the opposite of the new Silver Surfer.
Oh, yeah?
Just shred through space.
Yeah.
Grind the space waves.
The ground graveler. That's his name, the graveler. Oh, that's awesome. So how did you like the trailer, man?
So we've been, so far up to this point on Comic Talk, we've been talking about Daredevil Born Again and some of the comics and stuff like that it's been related to, but so I've really only been talking about stuff that I dislike, but when it comes to this trailer, first and second trailer both, I very much enjoyed. I love the stylistic look. I love the John Byrne, the blue and white costumes.
True.
Not thrilled on the casting for some of them.
Uh-huh.
Pedro Pascal's Mr. Fantastic is...
with the mustache?
It's something. But I like what I'm seeing so far. I'm not liking what I'm reading in some of the interviews when they're talking about some of the character decisions, when they're changing Johnny Storm, they're changing Susan Storm a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not liking that stuff, but in terms of just what I've seen, I like it. And I know that there are a lot of people that are upset about it, so it's weird for me to be on this side of things for once.
Mm-hmm.
But like the female Silver Surfer, you and I want to... So what's your opinion on the female Silver Surfer?
Well, a lot of people think it's Juno. I don't think it's Juno. And I can't remember her name at the time. But she was Galactus' herald. But she was amongst a team of heralds.
Are you thinking of Shala Ball?
Yes, Shala Ball. I think that's Shala Ball. I don't think we're going to get a male Silver Surfer. We already got that, and why do it over? Like, what? It is what it is. If it happens, it happens. But I think it's awesome that we're showing a different version of the Silver Surfer, and it's not a made-up version. It's not. We're not altering the original Silver Surfer, or the one that we Norman Rad, yeah. We're not altering him. We're just not showing that version. And a lot of people don't know comic books. They see Silver Surfer and they go, "Oh, why did they change, the sex of Silver Surfer?" They did not. It's just that's a different version, and I like it. I do like it. It fits this Earth. It shows us that this is not the 616. Or the Marvel Universe that we've known. Because if it was, we would get a male version of Silver Surfer. Instead, we got this version, and it helps separate the Fantastic Four show from what's going on in the MCU now by doing it like that. And
so, if I can speak to that for just a second,
yeah,
I do hope that this is Juno. I do want to say I don't hope that they're picking Juno or Shalabal just because we've already seen a guy, Silver Surfer. That would be really crap reasoning. But I hope that this is Juno. Juno comes from a storyline called Earth X.
yeah,
And if you look at the first trailer, you can see a lot of stuff in the trailer that seems to possibly line up with that. There are some things, it could correlate to a couple of other comics, like the first appearance of Galactus and stuff like that, the Red Ghost. But Galactus, the Red Ghost, and a female Silver Surfer were integral to the Earth X storyline.
you might be right because the Red Ghost played by William Dafoe. He's going to be in the movie, so it could be Juno. You're absolutely right.
So when it comes to that storyline, it would play in. So first steps, we know now in the second trailer that they're having a baby.
Yeah.
Franklin, well, it depends on how they're going to do it. It could be Franklin, it could be Valeria, and then they do timeline stuff. So in the original, during the Jonathan Hickman comics, they had Valeria first in an alternate universe. There were shenanigans to it. And then when they moved over into a new universe, they had Franklin, and Franklin, with his reality manipulation powers, brought Valeria into the new universe. And then Doctor Doom had to help deliver the baby, gave her the name Valeria. It was a cool storyline. I'm seeing a lot of the Jonathan Hickman stuff come through on this. I really hope that that's what they're going for. You have the John Byrne costumes, you have the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, like the 60s New York aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like you're pulling in all the cool stuff that I want to see, the Fantastic
That's true.
Four.
That's true.
You have they have the family dinners. You have people like them, like they're being celebrated. They're celebrities. People have their merchandise, their toys. You know, it's if it's done right, it's going to be a feel good movie.
Well, yeah, I everything you're saying is actually, I didn't think of it in that perspective. Like this movie is the definition of what made Marvel when it first came out. Like this is that hopeful superhero story with characters that are bright and colorful, and they're very comic book. Yeah, because at first I did not like the costumes, but then once you said John Byrne, I was like, yo, that's exactly that is right. That is absolutely right. The way he drew, they were they were lighter blue, and they kind of had a thickness to them. They wasn't very streamlined where you can see all their muscles. You know, they wasn't wearing Spider-Man suits basically, which nowadays a lot of people draw every hero like that, where they have these big rippling muscles, like they have muscles in their suit, you know. But no, these aren't. It's not that. They're wearing sweats, or they're wearing like a thicker type material, and that probably has a lot to do with their powers as well. Like that's one thing that I realized that I liked about the Fantastic Four when they made the Sony version, and then when they made the other version that no one talks about, but I happen to like, and this version, their suits has to be contorted to their powers, and or the side effects of their handicap. Technically, like these aren't abilities; these are flaws that has happened, injuries if you think about it. And one thing I did like about the one movie that Michael B. Jordan, his version of Johnny Storm, he cannot turn that off. It was just, he was always on fire, and then they made a suit for him where he can monitor and turn off the volume of his fire. Well, in this version, I really hope they talk about their suits. That's one of the most exciting things about the Fantastic Four movies that I enjoyed, is how Reed Richards break down how their suits help them, or how their suits are contorted to their abilities. And yeah,
if they're going to do the, like, talking about the suits and how Reed makes them and stuff, if they're going to do part of Reed's character correct, he feels guilty about what he's done to his friends.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, like there are a lot of comic characters are defined by what they can do. And when it comes to the Fantastic Four and characters like Daredevil, they're defined by disabilities, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
The Fantastic Four and Daredevil as well, turns their disabilities into abilities.
Yeah.
And so, but it didn't start that way. After they first get their powers, their friendship for the first time ever is really on the rocks. And they come to, understand, they come to grips with these powers that they've been given, and now that they have to come to use them for something, and so they're going to use them for the good of mankind. But Reed really goes through it. Like, he's like, I did this to my friends, I did this to my wife, like, now I have to do something to make it right. And so there is a storyline in the comics, like you're talking about, where part of it, whereas Johnny could not turn off the fire.
Yeah.
It was after he was affected by somebody else's powers. It wasn't like a thing that happened to him. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that that's the case with the version that's in the film. We see him walking around the Baxter building, seemingly fine. But when it comes to it, it's a little detail, but it's a big statement to their character.
There's one thing in the trailer when Johnny was chasing Silver Surfer into outer space. Obviously he was flamed on and he flew up chasing, and then he got into the atmosphere where there's no oxygen, and his flame went out. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing that I have yet to hear anyone say, but the first thing that dawned to me was his clothes didn't burn off. He still had like Dockers, some tennis shoes, and a jacket on. He had street clothes on. All of that should have came off. They should have disintegrated. He should have either had his suit underneath it, or he should have been naked.
Well, like what you're talking about, that they did that in the early 2000s movies. They had that where his clothes would completely burn off of him. To my recollection, in the comics, like as far as early as the Stan Lee stuff, the fire was kind of like just immediately around him. Like it wouldn't affect it. It's kind of like how the Flash can wear clothes and run, and they'll be all right.
Well, see, that's what I liked when they introduced him to like live action, was he couldn't do that, and just physics wouldn't allow. You can't do that. If you're going to run that fast with that much friction, you're going to rip out of your shoes. I think that's probably the best thing that Zack Snyder did in the Justice League movie, is when he showed Barry Allen go so fast, everything else had to be in slow-mo. And when he turned, he ripped out of his shoes. The force of him moving so fast cracked the concrete. I was like, that is amazing. And then you started to slowly see his clothes start to singe, like spark up and kind of catch on fire. Because they're moving that fast, that's what's going to happen. The world around you isn't going to keep up with you.
The friction of him turning out of his shoes should have also completely made his clothes disappear immediately.
Oh yeah, it should have just evaporated.
So my point is, like, when it comes to that, like, I get what you're saying. To me, it's one of those things. It's better to leave it alone when it comes to this.
I don't know, man. It was a cool concept. Like, it will at that same time. It's like it makes sense. Just things are on fire, they burn. If you're flame retarded, then retardant. Retarded? Is it retardant? Retarded or retardant?
Retardant.
Yeah. Flame proof. If you're flame proof, I just don't want to come off rude. If you're,
well, you said the word retarded like 3 times.
Your clothes should burn off if you're on fire. If you're immune to it, your skin and hair are fine, which he clearly is. The whole concept of back to where I was talking about with the suits is Reed Richards made a suit for him so it doesn't burn, and he should have been wearing that suit underneath his clothes, or don't wear it at all and don't flame on. And I think it's just another layer of, can I do this right now without the embarrassment of here we go. But one thing I disliked in the original Fantastic Four movie is when Sue Storm went invisible, her clothes just fell off her body.
Yeah.
Like she evaporated.
She's not a ghost. She's still there.
She's solid matter, just invisible.
Her clothes become invisible, too.
Yeah. It's just light bounces off of her. Which I don't think her clothes should have became invisible. Just her skin, her body in itself should have been invisible. Her clothes is not attached to her; it's just on her.
You can make an argument for that.
It's not her. It's not a part of her DNA. So if she's wearing a red shirt and she was invisible, she's literally should look like a person. She should look like a ghost.
Just like floating clothes.
Yeah, floating clothes, exactly.
And if I can speak to that for just a second, so we actually get to see everybody's powers in this trailer.
Yeah.
In the first, we got to see everyone except Reed.
Yeah.
We've now gotten to see it. So we'd already seen Johnny. I think that Johnny looks really good.
Yeah.
They did the comic accurate. He had when you would look at Johnny in the comics from as early as the Stan Lee stuff, when he would go flame on, he had lines, like musculature lines.
Yeah.
They kept that because it's a detail of the suit underneath.
Yeah.
It's such a small detail, but I love that.
That is very true. I didn't even speak on it. You're right. I didn't put two and two together. You're absolutely right about that.
He's not just like a ball of flame like he was in the 2000s movie.
Yeah.
And then we get to see Sue's powers. We got to see him in the first trailer and now again in this one.
Mm-hmm.
I love what they're doing. It looks like a bubble. I mean, like it has this kind of iridescent, like if you look at oil on the ground in a parking lot or something, like it shines and it has that rainbow shimmer effect. Like it's visible for the audience, but the implication is that everyone else couldn't see it.
Well, I think it goes to, like, a lot of people think Sue Storm just goes invisible, as in she just becomes nothing and her clothes fall off, you know? But really, no, she's still solid. So how do you do that? Her skin reflects light. So it's a form of camouflage.
Yeah.
So she's not like, you can't walk through her, you will bump into her if you don't see her clearly. But I think her invisible energy balls or energy forces, all they're doing is reflecting light.
Yep.
So that's why you're going to get that oil slick type texture or look to it. And I don't know. This is my second time bringing it up because a lot of people really think like invisible means nothing. It means air. No, it's just transparency. You just don't see it. It's because it's reflecting everything else around her and you.
A lot of people are mixing up invisible and intangible. Like she's not like Danny Phantom, right? She's not like a ghost.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, like I think that them doing this iridescent kind of bubble shimmer effect, this is the best thing that they could have done because you can't do what they did in the comics. If you just have her be like a light blue, like you can still see her.
The lines.
Yeah. Like the tick mark.
Yeah.
Like you can't imply that she's there in the same way that you could in the comics. And so in order, like you don't just have a blank space where there should be a person, you can give the audience this iridescent shimmer. It again, like I talked about it with Johnny, I talked about it with Sue, little details that are so it's good. It's good stuff. It really is.
Then we have the Thing. One of the most controversial characters out there when you bring him to the live action. And the first Fantastic Four, he looked like it looked good for its time. And it looked good because it was the first time. It looked good for its time. Now it just looks like a cosplay at some Comic-Con.
No, what?
Yeah, it does.
The one in the early 2000s looked like a cosplay at Comic-Con.
That's what I'm saying.
This one...
No, not this one.
Okay.
The first one. The first one looked like cosplay. It looked good. It just looked like cosplay. It looked like you could tell it looked padded. You know, it didn't look hard.
And he's got that unnatural orange color, like a baseball pitch,
and
like
there
clay.
Was creases, which is just EVA foam. That's all it was. And then they CGI'd him, and you get the Michael B. Jordan version, which looked good in that version of the movie, which I will always stand up for. I like that version of the movie, and I like that version of Doctor Doom. I will admit that is not a good Doctor Doom. That is not A+ Doctor Doom, but the movie in itself looked good. I'm happy they did not keep that and make that part of the main universe, but it looked good for its thing, for its own entity. I enjoyed it.
I don't even have to say anything. I'm just going to let that stand on its own.
Like I said, I'll stand alone in this one. I'll stand alone.
I'll let you defend.
I even have the helmet right there because I liked it. But The thing, he looked like a mountain man of rock, and I thought that was cool. He did not have the bold outline or physique as the comic book. He looked like a landslide. He looked like it was just rocks put together into a human form. When he moved, it graveled.
Yeah.
When he talked, it graveled.
That doesn't make
And
so
I
much
thought
sense.
it should, because the thing is rocks everywhere. So his vocal cords are rocks. So when
the
he
thing's
talks,
skin is rocks. He's still underneath. He still has musculature.
no, look at
In the comics, when he's gotten the rocks removed off of his skin, there's just muscle beneath. His top layer of skin is
his
rocks.
organs are rocks. His heart is a rock, which moves.
How does he live then?
Because he's the thing. It's a comic book. I don't know. He could never live in real life. If he was to live in real life,
I'm not talking about like.
what do you mean? How does he?
I'm not talking about like if it was real life. I'm talking about like the way that I've always understood it from the comics, as far as I know, is that it's just the top layer of skin is rocks.
Really?
Yes.
Do you
He's still a human underneath, but nobody can see it.
Oh, how old were you when this movie came out? When the first Fantastic Four came out?
When first one was like 04?
Yeah, I was
1 year old.
You were 1?
Yeah.
You came out in 04?
Yeah.
I was 18. I was 18. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. All right, let's move forward from that.
We finally get to see Reed Richards' stretch powers.
Yeah.
It didn't look bad.
It didn't look bad.
They
It
actually
did look
managed, like the 2000s movie where I was 1 year old was. It looked it looked horrifying to look at. Like he stretches his arm around people, and it's like, it looks like body horror.
Yeah.
When it comes to this, what I can tell you is I think it's the costume. I think it's the simplicity of the costume that makes it work.
Yeah.
Like it being a solid color blue, there's not a whole bunch of variation to
and
it.
a light blue.
Yeah.
Like it's
when
not
he
this hard blue.
stretches,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just not as offensive to my eyes.
Okay. Well, what I really hope they do with Reed Richards is more than I can stretch my arm and my neck and my legs, and I can wrap up the thing whenever he has a temper tantrum. He can manipulate his body to grow. Mm-hmm. He can also get bigger, as in stronger, and he can also shrink down. He can also there's so many things you can do with his physique because of who he is. Even he can stretch his mind to make him smarter. Like, I hope they touch bases with some of these avenues and not just make him a one-trick pony and wrap up a fire hydrant. You know what I mean?
What I like when they do, I don't think that they're going to go that route this early, because like him stretching his mind,
no, I think they will,
is the Maker, which they supposedly casted somebody to play the Maker. I have no idea what they're talking about. I don't think that that's true. Mm-hmm. But regardless of that, I don't. That's the very advanced edge of his powers. I don't know how early we are with the Fantastic Four. I think we're going to see when they first get their powers, and then I think that we're going to be with them maybe a couple years, because, like I said, people know who they are. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to that, like, I don't think that we're going to get him like stretching his muscle fibers so that he becomes stronger and stuff like that. I think that we're going to be like, he reaches over here, grabs this part, grabs that part, assembles a gun or something like a laser or something.
I don't know. Like, we're going to get a fourth. This is a fourth version of Reed Richards. And
fifth.
The fifth?
There's a movie that nobody remembers that came out
in the 1980s?
The 80s.
Oh, you count that? Okay, we're going to count that. We're going to count that.
It's a Fantastic Four movie.
Oh, man, yeah. We're going to count that. All right, let's count that. So we're getting a fifth Reed Richards. And out of,
Sixth, actually, I'm sorry. The one in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
I was counting that as the fourth.
The stupidest man alive. Oh, wait, yeah, you're right.
The spaghetti?
Yes.
Okay, so we're getting five total Reed Richards has hit the screen live action. If we get this version of Reed Richards where he's just, once again, a one-trick pony, where he can just stretch his arms and legs and maybe flatten his hand to go underneath the door. Like, we need more. We need more than that. Like, the last time we saw Reed Richards, all he did was stretch into scene and then spaghetti. The time after that, we saw the Michael B. Jordan version, which was cool because he could not keep his body together, so he needed a suit to keep his body together. And only thing he really did in that was just stretch his arms. That was it. And then the early 2000s, all he did was stretch his arms. He stretched out a man pole. He stretched out a fire hydrant, and he flattened his hand. And in the deleted scene, he actually made his face look like Logan, which he also can do in the comic books. This version of Reed, he needs to go, I demand it. The bar needs to be pushed a little bit higher in his abilities. Because if not, we're getting the same version, just a different actor.
I want
in a cooler suit. You know, that's it.
I want to see
with a mustache.
A more intelligent use of his powers.
Yeah.
And it looks like that's what we're going to get. Like, he's, like, jumping between rocks and stuff like that. Like, he's using his kind of ability in order to do things that wouldn't normally be possible. In terms of, like, stretching the bounds of, I can be over here and then move in unnatural ways to his benefit. It's such a simple thing, but, like, the intelligent use of his powers is really what's going to sell people, I think.
Yeah.
And there is, like, when I compare it, the only thing really that I would compare it to would not be those other movies. I would compare it to The Incredibles. Like, how Helen uses her powers, Elastigirl uses her powers. Like, she'll grab a manhole cover and then turn it into essentially a gun, you know, off of a light pole. Like, it's a fun little thing.
That's already happened.
I know, but, like, that kind of, like, it's a moment of thinking. It's
a
moment of thinking, like, what can I do? What can I make an improvised weapon? And for Reed, being the smartest man alive, do something creative, you know, impress me with it.
Yeah. So. And then we already glanced over Galactus. Before we end this, we got to wrap it up with Doctor Doom. Without a Fantastic Four, you can't have a Doctor Doom without Fantastic Four. The way the first movie in the early 2000s they did it, that's not how it happened. Doctor Doom did not get hit with some cosmic radiation. He is a wizard. He is a warlock. He is the master of the mystic arts. He invents... Close second. Everything he did for a purpose, to gain more power, to be better than normal, and then to be better than better. I feel as though we're not going to get a Doctor Doom in this version until the very, very end. And my prediction is we're going to get a Doctor Doom, which is going to be a cutscene of Robert Downey Jr., and I bet you he's going to defeat Galactus. I bet you Galactus is going to eat this planet that we're going to meet the Fantastic Four on. They're going to wormhole to the MCU, New York. And then this version of Doctor Doom is going to eat Galactus, and then it's going to fade to black. And that's how we're going to... That's going to be the first taste of Doctor Doom, Robert Downey Jr.'s power. So we're going to completely understand what kind of Doctor Doom we're dealing with. I don't believe it's going to be the ongoing Doctor Doom, because it would suck if they brung back Robert Downey Jr. to be the main Doctor Doom. I think he's just going to be a certain Earth Doctor Doom in a certain universe, and we're going to get him. He's going to get defeated like Kane would have, and we're going to get a real Doctor Doom with hopefully not a better actor, but someone that suits the role better.
Definitely. When it comes to Doctor Doom, I don't like the casting idea, but I think that it does point to something that we might see. So I said that I think that this trailer is pointing out a lot of Jonathan Hickman isms from his run on the Fantastic Four. Reed has a line about stretching the bounds of space. I think that is a reference to, in the Hickman run, Reed after Civil War, after Secret Invasion, he wanted to see if there was anything that he could have done differently because he was feeling incredibly guilty about the decisions that he made. So he makes this thing called the Bridge. The Bridge was intended to allow him to look into other universes and see what he could have done differently. But when he makes the bridge and he fires it up for the first time, out steps the Council of Reeds, kind of the leaders of the Council of Reeds. And so I'm wondering if they're going to play a part in this, that they are going to give him the idea to transport his Earth into another universe to save it from Galactus.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to that, we know that we're getting Doomsday, we know that we're getting Secret Wars. I am wondering if they're going to go the route of when the Fantastic Four, they're not going to win against Galactus. There's no way.
No.
Especially not, Juno's not going to be on their side, or Shalabal, whoever it is. They can maybe convince her like they did in the comics, but there's very little chance that they're going to win. And so when they transport their Earth into the 616, then we're going to start getting incursions, where you're going to have the Earths collapsing in on each other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know about that storyline from the Jonathan Hickman era in the early 2000s up until Secret Wars in whenever the second Secret Wars was. I want to say it was 2018 or something like that. But you started, before you had Secret Wars, you had a storyline where it was called Time Runs Out. And you started having, like, everybody was involved. The Avengers, the Illuminati, the X-Men, all of this stuff. Where you'd have your home world, and then you'd have other planets would appear in the sky above it. And they had to eventually destroy these planets so that they wouldn't collide and destroy them. And so, eventually, they fail.
Mm-hmm.
And the prime timeline gets destroyed, and everything is going to be erased. And Doctor Doom saves them at the last second.
Hmm.
And so, he becomes the key. He's the crux. This is spoilers, unfortunately. But he becomes the crux, this central power moving into Secret Wars. And so that's what I could see Doomsday being about, the incursions and what do we do about them, and then coming to a solution. They fail, and then that sets up Secret Wars when Doctor Doom saves the day, sets up Secret Wars, and then you have Secret Wars play out. So I could see this. I think that this movie's going to play a very big part in the future going forward for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one of the ways that I could see it happening. I talked a little bit earlier about the Earth X storyline. In the Earth X storyline, there's some cool stuff with time travel. Again, this is a spoiler for it. It's a very short series. But what you find out is that Galactus is not trying to eat Earth. And then you kind of see that a little bit in the trailer, at the end of this trailer, where Galactus is walking around New York.
Yeah.
If you've seen the leaked San Diego Comic-Con trailer from over a year ago at this point, you see Galactus kneel down and look inside the Baxter Building.
Yeah.
In the Earth X storyline, Galactus is looking for the Fantastic Four, and what you find out is that time travel is involved, because this version of Galactus is Franklin Richards.
His son.
His son.
Which, obviously, Sue is pregnant in this.
Right.
Which, I feel like that should have happened later, not the origin of the Fantastic Four. Well, I don't know. Do you think this is going to be an origin of Fantastic Four?
I think we're going to see the origin.
Yeah?
We're going to see it, but we're not going to spend most of the time there.
Yeah. I really hope that they just go into it. Like, they're already established. Well, from the way they look, they already are established. Because they're fan favorites. People are cheering their names. There's action figures made from them. They have a TV show. So I think they're already set in their ways. We might get in the beginning flashes of them going to space and coming back as is. You know,
I feel like it's like a Spider-Man and a Batman effect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people know, all right, they got up in a rocket, they got hit by cosmic rays, they got superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't have to show, Martha 1,000 times.
Yeah.
We don't have to show Uncle
falling
Ben
pearls and
get gadded down in the street 100 times.
We don't. We really don't need that.
I think people genuinely get
Mm-hmm.
the origin to the point where they're not going to have to spend more than 30 minutes covering their origin at the most.
So to wrap this up, this show comes out when? In July?
In July of this year, yeah.
July 1st? July.
In July.
Man, so we have... and then Thunderbolts comes
Thunderbolts in...
next month.
May, yeah.
So, okay, so this is the summer of Marvel. Well, DC, what are you guys doing?
And I'm actually...
What are you guys doing?
I know that we're talking about the Fantastic Four, but the Thunderbolts... The more I see of that, the more I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
And so I'm actually, for the first time in... When was the last time that Marvel did multiple movies this close together?
Oh,
like 2 movies, just one, and then skip a month
you're
and
right.
then another.
No, they did that. They did it.
Okay.
I am... Back when Marvel was on his A game. Like when they were cranking out, because they were cranking out, wait, I don't know. You're right.
Regardless, this.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I'm actually excited for these 2 movies. Cautiously optimistic, but I want to see what they're going to do with it. I hope that it's good. It's kind of a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
If it turns out to be that this Fantastic Four is really good, then I'm going to be disappointed that it gets involved with the 616. Because I don't like the direction of the 616 at the moment.
Hopefully it starts
the MCU 616.
Well, honestly, I don't think they're going to be... I think Fantastic Four... Fantastic Four better do a very good job. If they don't, I feel as though they're going to rewrite the entire saga. As in, are we going to have more solo films of them? I feel as though they're going to... Next time we're going to see them, they're going to be in the Secret War or Avengers Doomsday, that era. And they're going to be cameos.
I hope that they have... the central conflict of Secret Wars was between Doctor Doom and Mr. Fantastic. They should have more of a role to play. I could see Marvel doing this is our big ensemble movie, so we're going to make sure that everybody has a part to play.
And I feel as though if they don't do well, that's going to be it. They're going to be, that's this solo, and then they're going to do the cameo, or they're going to be in the next 2 films amongst other characters.
Right.
But they're never going to get a Fantastic Four, 2, 3. They're not going to get
second steps.
Yeah, right? Second step. Third step, Unless they signed up for a 3-movie deal. Or should I say a 5-movie deal, which means 3 solos and then 2 with crossover. Outside of that, I guess that's it for our extended Fantastic Four review. Our next show, let's talk about. Have we talked about the Superman review?
The new Superman trailer?
We have not talked about anything DC. Let's bring it back to DC.
All right, we can do that.
And let's talk about Tom Taylor and what he is doing, which
butchering Batman.
I want to talk about that. Yeah, I think he deserves it. And I want to talk about that James Gunn trailer, because we got 2 trailers out, and the first trailer I was kind of like, the second trailer I'm kind of like, but then I was like, whoa, okay, I get it, and yeah.
And
I want to talk about this.
When does Superman come out?
I don't know.
Sometime soon, though, right?
Yeah,
I think it's this year.
Up in the sky near you.
This year. And so, these trailers, like the Fantastic Four trailer and the Superman trailer, they've been competing with each other.
Yeah, and then Jurassic Park's
coming out too. So I got to ask you, which one for you is winning right now, Fantastic Four or Superman?
Oh goodness. I can't answer that because they're not even remotely the same.
Which one are you more excited for?
Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts.
Option C, cut the wire.
Thunderbolts and the rated R Jurassic Park movie, which is going to get so overlooked because you got DC with Superman, and then you got Thunderbolts with Marvel and Fantastic Four. Jurassic Park is going. You might as well just stream it, guys. Just stream it. People at home will watch it. Yeah, because they'll go to the movies and watch these MCU and DC movies, and then come home, order a pizza, and then watch a rated R Jurassic Park movie, which is also starring Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, I don't know if Star-Lord's going to be in this, but we definitely going to get Black Widow. And hopefully it's going to be okay. How do you rate a Jurassic Park movie?
How have you not done it sooner is the question.
Yeah. The first book was gory.
Yeah.
Real gory. And they just like, you know what? Let's just put a mouse hat. Let's put a Mickey Mouse hat on this and bring dinosaurs to the mouse house and make a movie out of it. And now they're like, oh, wait a second. Audiences are ready for dinosaurs and bloods and guts. Well, like, in comparison,
the question is just how haven't you done it sooner?
Yeah.
You have a franchise about people getting eaten by dinosaurs.
Like, what are we going to do? Throw some curse words into the movie and call it rated R? All it is dinosaurs eating people and people being chased by dinosaurs.
They're going to find some weird opportunity to put in a sex scene. It's going to be strange.
True. Oh. On that note, we're going to end it. Those are the last words. Sex scene.
I got to cut in with something else now.
I'm Rico, and this is Cody, and this is Comic Talk.
Yep.
Peace out.